guys, it's Manager Kylie, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you some terminology for women's lacrosse. So today I'm going to go through a list of terms for women's lacrosse and kind of their meaning, how they relate to the game. And if you have any questions on the ones I mentioned, or if there's any other ones you're wondering kind of what they mean as you're either watching or playing lacrosse, definitely let me know in the comments down below and be happy to give you a definition for those as well. I am going to go through this list in alphabetical order, and if there's any other sports like this you'd like to see a video about terminology, I do have some already on my channel, and I can always post another one for a specific sport if you're looking for that. So again, let me know in the comments down below, and definitely check out the playlist I'll have linked at the end with other terminology videos. So blocking is when you're kind of moving into the path of somebody so that they can't continue where they're going. You're getting in their way so they can't continue in the path they're moving in. Charging is when a player with the ball is moving towards a defender and the defender has established position. They've established that they're standing there and the player with the ball still just kind of runs right into them. That's considered charging. That's not allowed. Checking, in girls lacrosse, stick checking is allowed as long as it's not near the head, especially at the higher levels. So this is when you're taking your stick and you're hitting the head of the opponent's stick to try to dislodge the ball so that you can get access to the ball. Clearing is when the goalie has the ball in their stick and they're kind of in the goal circle and they're trying to get the ball cleared out of the area so that they can get it up the field and their team can go the opposite direction. Covering is illegal in girls lacrosse. It's allowed in men's lacrosse, but in women's lacrosse it's not allowed. And this is when you're going to scoop up a ground ball and with your head of your stick you cover the ball. So you're not allowed to cover the ball. You have to just kind of scoop it up in one fluid motion instead of like covering the ball and then kind of like popping it up. After this, we have cradling. So once you have the ball in your stick, and when you're moving it back and forth, this is kind of how you keep control of it in your stick. You're kind of twisting it back and forth in that head to keep control and as you're moving down the field. The critical scoring area is generally where most of the shots come from, and it's 15 meters in front of the goal, and there's also, it's about 8 meters behind the goal. This whole area is kind of where most of the shots and kind of where the offenses run out of. And then within this area, there's an 8-meter arc and a 12-meter like fan drawn on the ground so that you kind of understand when you're close to this area, and then there's special rules on how you have to be guarding individuals in this area, as this is an area where there's a lot of contention and there's a lot of chance for goals. Cutting, so similar to other sports, if you're cutting like through the lane, this is a player trying to cut like in front of the goal, towards the goal, hoping to get a pass to be able to shoot on net. If for some reason there's not a goalie, you might have a deputy defender, and this person is somebody that can kind of replace the goalie and go into the goalie's crease in their arc area while the goalie's somewhere else, so, or if they're like off the field or anything, to kind of cover the net and still have the ability to try to stop any goals. A draw is how you start either the game or how you start after a goal, and you have two players, they put their sticks right up against each other and they fling the ball up into the air, and then they have to try to catch the ball. This is just kind of a way to stop a dead play and be able to have an equal opportunity for both teams to get access to the ball. Very similar to like a jump ball in basketball. You're just taking the two sticks and they're flinging the ball up in the air to try to catch it. So like I mentioned before, there's those 8-meter arcs, so they're right in front of the goal, and within that, if for some reason there's a penalty that happens within them, they're more likely to be major penalties, just because there's so much protection. You're right in front of the goal area, so you have to make sure everybody's playing safely. You also have to be making sure you're guarded individuals in there and that everybody has some sort of defender on them. And with that guarding, you do also have to make sure that you're within a stick length of somebody. You can't just be hanging out in that 8-meter arc. You have to be within a stick length of the person you're defending, so it keeps the defensive moving and it keeps the offensive moving. Just like in any other sport, again, fast breaks. So this is when you have the ball and you're running up the field. Generally, there's not many people in front of you. There might just be one or defender or two, like you're going kind of on your own, running up the field with the opportunity to possibly score. So free position happens after any foul. So if there's a foul, everybody has to get 4 meters away from the person that now has the ball, and it just allows them the position to start running, and that person that committed the foul has to go behind them. Free shot is on that 8-meter arc, everybody lines up and the person with the ball has kind of a free shot at the goalie. And then free space is you're not allowed to be, if you're in that 8-meter arc and you're a defender, you're not allowed to be in the way of the player and their ability to be able to shoot at the goal. They have to have access to the goal. Unless you're closely marking somebody, then it's slightly different, but you can't just like kind of run in the way of somebody with the goal. You have to kind of use your other defensive skills to be able to stop them from being able to score. So a goal circle is 2.6 meters. It's around the whole net, and no player's body or their stick. So even when you shoot, your stick can't cross that goal circle. It's kind of like a cylinder. It's just a protective area for the goalie, and where it's kind of their zone, they're the only ones that can be in there. So you have to make sure that when you're shooting, you're far enough away that when you kind of follow through with your stick, you're not crossing into that goal area. A ground ball is a loose ball that is on the ground, so anybody has fair access to it, and you have to make sure that you're scooping it straight up. Indirect free position is when a minor foul happens in the 12-meter arc and the player can't just directly shoot it. They have to be able to pass it in some way to a teammate, or cradle it away. They can't just directly shoot it right on net. Marking is when you're defending a player and you're within a stick link and you're right on that player, so you're within that stick distance and you're following them around. Offsides does happen in girls lacrosse. There are 2 restraining lines, 1 on each side. And depending on your team, you cannot have more than 7 players except for the goalie in either your offensive or your defensive zone. So you have to make sure either your attack players stay back if you're on defense, or your defensive players stay back if you're on offense, so that you kind of have only that 7 players. So besides the goalie, it should be 7 on 7 when you're in that kind of offensive zone. It gets in the middle of the field, it's not the same. You have a little bit more free roam, but when you're on the offensive or your defensive zones, you have to make sure you only have 7 players. Substitutions in girls lacrosse do happen on the fly. So what this means is, as play is going, you can sub. So as long as the player that's on the field comes off, you can then put the next player back on. So as long as somebody's fully off, then you come back on. There is a substitution zone that you have to make sure you sub between, but as long as you do that, you're able to just sub as needed. But you can't sub at the stoppage of play. You have to sub as the game is going. So an offensive player may set a pick, and what this is they're trying to get in the way of the defender so that their player with the ball can kind of go around. So it's a player without the ball kind of puts their body in the way of the defender and allows their player that has the ball to be able to go free from the defender. Riding or a ride is when the goalie has the ball and they're trying to clear it out, and you have a defender that's kind of following the goalie around trying to stop them from being able to clear the ball. A scoop is in that position when you're going for a ground ball. The way you pick up the ball, it's called a scoop. A scoring play is any play that kind of ends up with a goal. So it's that one consecutive offensive run that ends up with a goal. Slashing, which isn't allowed, is when you recklessly take your stick and hit it at an opponent in their stick. So yes, you can check a little bit to try to get the ball free, but you can't just take your stick and like wham it down on somebody. That's not allowed. A slow whistle is if there's some sort of penalty that has occurred, but you will still want the offense to have the advantage for the possibility to score. A slow whistle allows them on a scoring play to still have that ability to score, which would call off the penalty. Or if for some reason something happens, you would have a penalty, similar to how they call penalties in hockey. So the way girls lacrosse works is anytime there's a whistle, everybody must stand. So what this means is everybody except for the goalie that's in their circle must stand perfectly still. They have to stand where they are, and that allows everybody to stay where they are before play resumes in any way. So you might have to change who has possession of the ball, but it pauses everybody so they can reset before they continue play. So a sphere is kind of like another safety feature. It's an imaginary bubble around somebody's head. Nobody can get within 7 inches of somebody's head with their stick or anything like that. So it's just safety, allows nobody's attacking at your head. Girls lacrosse, you're not wearing helmets, so making sure that you're not attacking at somebody's head. For defenders, you do have the 3-second rule, and what this is when you're in that 8-meter arc, you have to make sure that you're either guarding somebody, so you have to be kind of defending somebody directly, or you can't just be standing in that arc for more than 3 seconds. It just allows play to constantly be moving and making sure that the offense does have an opportunity to go for the goal, and unless you're directly guarding somebody, you're not just standing there kind of blocking the net. So just like in every other sport, and I've mentioned this in my rules video, there are warning cards. So yellow card can cause you to have some sort of penalty that you have to sit off the field for a little bit, and this means that you have to kind of sit on the side and your player team has to play down a player. There's also red cards, so if you get more than one yellow card, or you can get straight to a red card, this means there's a penalty and you're most likely going to have to come off permanently, and that your team's going to have to play down a player for the rest of the game. There are also green cards in girls lacrosse, and this just means a delay of game in some way. So your team's presented with that, and that means there's been a delay of game, and that could cause a future penalty. So that's all the rules of girls lacrosse. If you have any questions or anything that I've mentioned or any other words that you're looking for the rules on, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I will have linked at the end all the other terminology videos as well as some other girls lacrosse videos. So if you're interested in anything related to lacrosse, feel free to check those out. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later.